Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the ICC T20 World Cup. All you need to know before the World Cup starts. We have our friends with here. You must have seen him in the previous video called Lockdown Super Over. We're going to be talking about the main teams of the tournament, and we're going to be giving out our predictions in the end. So make sure to watch the video till the end to get to know what we are predicting for the World Cup. So let's start off with what it takes to win a T20 championship in Australia.
So what does it take to win a T20 championship in Australia? And everything I want to talk about is based on previous editions of BBL and the international games that have happened in Australia before. So firstly, you need a top 3 who have a solid technique against pace. As during the power play, the ball tends to have extra pace and bounce, and playing across the line will more often than not produce a top pitch, and you will be caught within the 30-yard circle. Secondly, you will need leg spinners who can bowl slow through the air. Thirdly, you will need fast bowlers who can bowl, vary their pace effectively and bowl these cutters and slow ones and all that. If you see the previous editions of the BBL, the most successful bowlers have been Daniel Sams, Nathan Ellis, and all of them who bowl these cutters and all that. Fourthly, even 150 to 160 is a defendable total in Australia because dew doesn't have a big factor here. Teams which have batsmen who can convert these ones into twos and twos into threes and not rely on boundaries entirely because of the huge ground dimensions of Australia, and fielders who can cut down these twos into ones and threes into twos will benefit the most. All of what I've mentioned until now is what a team requires to qualify for maybe the semi-finals or finals. But in order to go that one step further, you'll probably need a combination of experience, X factor of big match players, and finally a little bit of luck. So based on all this, we have shortlisted the 6 teams who we think have the best chance to qualify for the semis, finals, and eventually win the T20 World Cup.
So moving on to the first team, Australia, the defending champions.
Moving on to the strengths of the team, the main important point for Australia is their pace bowling attack. The likes of Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, and Josh Hazlewood, they're going to be really lethal in the Australian conditions.
Australia are probably the most experienced in terms of winning titles. Almost 14 of them in the current squad have won the T20 World Cup last year, and added to that, they also have home advantage this year.
Yeah, if you see Australia's strength, one of its strengths are explosive middle order and batting lineup. If you see, they have Tim David, Glenn Maxwell, David Warner, Aaron Finch, all are big hitters and can play quite well and hit a long ball in Australia. So I think they can do quite good in the World Cup.
And moving on to the weaknesses, I think the Australian team lacks spin bowling options. They have 2 good spinners, that is Adam Zampa and Ashton Agar. Other than that, I don't see any big names playing in the 11 as a spinner. So I think that is going to be a huge weakness for the Australia.
The next weaknesses for Australia is the 5th bowling option. The likes of Marcus Stoinis, Glenn Maxwell, and Mitchell Marsh. In Australia, it's really easy to pick up slow deliveries, so the 5th bowling option is the weakest.
Okay, so moving on to the hit players and flop players of this team. My hit player for this team is Mitchell Marsh, and my flop player is Glenn Maxwell.
Okay, my hit player for the Australian squad is Pat Cummins, and my flop player is Glenn Maxwell.
My hit player is David Warner and my flop player is Tim David, the opposite of David Warner. Except that Tim is of Warner.
Mine is exactly the opposite of this. My hit player is Maxwell and my flop player is Mitchell Marsh.
Moving on to the next team, India, the favourites to win the World Cup.
Starting off with the strengths, India's biggest strength this T20 World Cup is their top 4. They probably have the most technical top 4 and most suited top 4 for the Australian pace and bounce.
They have good spinning bowling options in terms of Akshar Patel, Yuzvendra Chahal and Ravichandran Ashwin. If you see, Ashwin has many variations, as well as Akshar Patel can toss the ball up and the ball comes low through the air, so it gives us a catch because of long boundaries in Australia.
Okay, I think the most impactful player in this team is Hardik Pandya because he can change the game with both the bat and the ball. He's an excellent fielder as well. So if there is one player who has the most impact for this team, I think it is Hardik Pandya because of his all-round abilities.
Moving on to weaknesses, the pace bowling attack is one of the main weaknesses for India. As you saw in the Asia Cup, their death overs are really poor, and especially in the 19th over they start choking.
India's biggest weakness, not in this T20 World Cup, but for the past 9 years, is high pressure games. Whenever we play a high pressure game, you'll see India scorecard 5 for 3, 7 for 4. You'll see fielders dropping catches, bowlers bowling no balls. So that is something India should look to improve this time.
Okay, and moving on to the hit players and flop players of this team. I think my hit player is KL Rahul and my flop player is Yuzvendra Chahal.
My hit player is Hardik Pandya and my flop player is Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
My hit player is DK and my flop player is Akshar Patel.
My hit player is classy Rolls Royce Rahul
classy Rolls Royce Rahul.
and my flop player is Akshar Patel.
Moving on to the next team, Pakistan. When you see Pakistan, மைசூர் பாக்கு தான் ஞாபகம் வருது. எதுக்குன்னா அவங்க ஃபீல்டிங் அப்படியே தான் பண்ணுறாங்க பார்த்தேன். மைசூர் பாக் சாப்பிட்டுட்டு ஃபீல்டிங் பண்ணுறாங்க போல, அதான் தூக்கமாக ஃபீல்டிங் பண்ணுறாங்க. Okay, now moving on to the strengths of Pakistan. Opening batters, they have Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam, who are quite solid at the top. If you see Rizwan can rotate and take singles and doubles, Australian grounds are quite big, so it will be useful.
Yeah, and talking about their bowling lineup, all their bowlers can bowl around 150 clicks per hour. I think they are the fastest bowling lineup in this tournament. So I think their pace bowling is going to be a challenge for other teams.
Their spin bowling also is an additional strength for Pakistan. As you can see, there are only 2 spinners in this squad, but still the 2 spinners have performed really well in the Asia Cup.
Okay, now let us look at the weaknesses. One of the most biggest weaknesses in Pakistan is their middle order batting. The middle order comprises of Iftikhar Ahmed, Haider Ali and Asif Ali, probably the most weakest. So they've been looking to cover it up by sending their all-rounders ahead of them.
Pakistan have never, most of the times they do not play a series in Australia and they play most of the series in Dubai and other countries. Now they have started playing series in Pakistan recently. So if you see, they're going to find it quite difficult to handle the express pace in Australia, especially the batters.
Okay, now the hit players and flop players of this team. My hit player is Mohammad Rizwan and my flop player is Asif Ali.
My hit player is Shaheen Shah Afridi and my flop player is Babar Azam.
My hit player is Aris Rauf and my flop player is Mohammad Rizwan.
My hit player is Shadab Khan and my flop player is Iftikhar Ahmed.
Okay, so let's move on to the next team, England. Talking about their strengths, I think they are the best batting team in this tournament. They have great batsmen who are fit to play T20 cricket. All their batsmen, I think they can hit big shots, they can rotate strike. So I think their batting is one of the best in this tournament.
As Rohan said, that the best batting team in the tournament right now, they have a lot of all-round options as well. They can send number 7 batsmen and number 2 and they can play the tournament as well.
Another strength is England's backup options available. If you say anybody is injured, say David Willey is injured or Ben Stokes is injured, you have a ready player, Sam Curran, who is world class. If Salt is injured, you have Hales. If Chris Jordan is injured, you have Reece Topley, an equally good death bowler.
Moving on to the weaknesses, if you see, in their pace bowling they have Chris Jordan, Mark Wood and David Willey, all of whom are not big names in pace bowling, and their bowling, if you see, they do not take wickets at consistent intervals, which makes it easier for the opponent team to score big totals.
And I think the other weakness that England has is that they have too many options. Like for example, if you see Moeen Ali, who plays at number 3 and number 4 for CSK, he's coming at number 7 for England. That is the same situation for almost every all-rounder or almost every middle order batsman in this England team. So I think that is a huge confusion for the management to decide which player should play at which position. And moving on to the hit players and flop players of this team, I think my hit player is going to be David Manan and my flop player is Chris Jordan.
Okay, my hit player for the England team is Chris Jordan and my flop player is Ben Stokes.
My hit player is Liam Livingston and my flop player is Philip Salt. Probably he has too much salt in his food, so he's not playing good nowadays, but remember to have salt in your food.
My hit player is Ben Stokes and my flop player is Chris Jordan. Dear viewers.
Dear viewers.
Rashid Khan, இப்படி அடிக்கிற பிளேயர்லாம் 25 ரன்ஸ் ஒரு ஓவரில் வந்து அடிக்கிறான்.
The IPL. Moving on to the next team, New Zealand. The strengths are number 1 is spin bowling. They are very good spinners. Sodhi and Mitchell Sandner. They can be really good in this Australian conditions.
Moving on to the next strength, their pace bowling. Their pace bowling attack is probably the most all-rounded pace bowling attack. They have left arm variety, right arm variety with Tim Southee and Trent Boult, who can rip through batting and lineups in the power play, and you have Lockie Ferguson, who's bowling 150 km per hour and has a very deceptive slow one as well.
Another one of their strengths is underrated batting. If you see, many of the people think that New Zealand is a waste team, but what can we do? They came to the World Cup 2019 and 2021 they came to the finals again, and they won the World Test Championship also. So if you see, they have quite a stabilized batting lineup which can take them all the way.
Moving on to the weaknesses of this team lacks batting depth. With a player like Mitchell Santner, who is a bowling all-rounder, he's coming at number 7. While if you see other teams like India, you have a specialized finisher, Dinesh Karthik, coming at number 7. So comparatively, New Zealand lacks batting depth.
I accept Kanan's point that the pace bowling is one of their main strengths, but the death bowling is really weak. Only Rocky Ferguson can bowl at his death overs properly, but Tim South and Trent Boult are not up to the mark.
Okay, the hit players and flop players of this team. I think my hit player is going to be Trent Boult, and my flop player is Stat Paddle King.
My hit player is Saudi and my flop player is Trent Boult.
My hit player is Devon Conway and my flop player is Sishori. எதுக்குடா என்ன சோதிக்கிறேன்?
My hit player is Devon Conway and my flop player is Saudi.
New Zealand is a test team, that's it.
Thanks. Okay, now let us look at South Africa. One of the main strengths are their finishers, Tristan Stubbs and David Miller. In my opinion, they are the most destructive finishers in this T20 World Cup. If there's 100 to win in 6 overs in the T20 World Cup and South Africa is batting, then I think it's danger for the bowling team.
Pace bowling. If you see, they have Rabada zikkinu was stampala parakum paanga. And Notge also is there. If you see, Notge after his injury has been less effective, but I think Notge and Rabada will be quite solid and help South Africa pick up some quick wickets in the power play.
I think they're the youngest team right now in the tournament, but at the same time they're really experienced.
Moving on to the weaknesses. I think the biggest weakness is their captain, Mr. Temba Bavuma. Bavuma na one player. What is it? Bavuma has had a very below poor record in T20. The last time I think he played with 150 strike rate was in a match where he scored 3 balls, 5 runs. I think that is the standard. So I think he's not fit to play T20, but he is the captain, so nothing can be done.
Another weakness for South Africa is their performance in high pressure games. If you look at the stats from the time cricket started, whenever there's a pressure match, they'll choke.
Hey,
Okay.
Flop,
Moving on to the hit players and flop players of this team. My hit player is David Miller.
my hit player is Rabada.
My hit player is Deacock.
My hit player is Rabada. You might all be wondering, why haven't we told our flop player?
Because our flop player is So we're done with the top 6 teams, and now let's move on to predictions. We'll start off with the player who's going to score the most runs. My prediction is Mohammad Rizwan.
My man King Kohli.
Mine is David Warner.
Joss Butler.
Moving on to most wickets, I think it's going to be Trent Boult.
I think Shaheen Shah, if he's playing 11. If not, I tell Mitchell Starc.
Mine is Pat Cummins.
Kagiso Rabada.
And last but not the least, man of the tournament. Mine is David Miller.
Hardik Pandya.
Hardik Pandya.
Hardik Pandya. Okay.
Moving on to the main predictions, which 4 teams will qualify for the knockout stage of this tournament? I'm going to go with Australia and New Zealand from the first group, because Australia, they have the home conditions benefit, and plus New Zealand, automatically they become good when it comes to World Cups. They have a good record in World Cups, so I'm picking New Zealand. And in Group B, I'm going to pick Pakistan and South Africa. India is a great team, but comparing India to Pakistan and South Africa, I think Pakistan and South Africa have the upper edge.
Predictions for the top 4 are from Group A it is Australia and New Zealand, and from Group B it's India and Pakistan.
In my predictions, Australia and New Zealand from Group 1, and from Group 2 it's Pakistan and India. If you see, Pakistan and India have a quite good level, as well as Australia and New Zealand. If you see, I left out South Africa and England because I feel they do not have the balance to come into the top 4.
My top 4 is, the top 2 teams from Group A will be probably England and Australia. I'm giving England the most preference because I believe they have the most all-rounder team in the entire tournament. If anyone has an off day, then they have certain players who can step up for them, whether it's batting or bowling. And the other team is Australia. I rate Australia and New Zealand equally, but given the experience and home conditions, I'm giving Australia the edge. And from the second group, it's India and South Africa.
And the final prediction: who is going to win the World Cup and who are going to lift the trophy and who are going to be crowned as champions? I'm going with Australia, the defending champions. They won it in UAE and now they are playing in their home, Australia. So Australia are the winners for me.
If not India, then it's New Zealand.
If not Indians, for me it's Pakistan. Because last year they had Hassan Ali playing, but this year Hassan Ali is not playing. So I think they'll do quite well in the World Cup. As last year they almost made it to the final.
If not India, it's England for me, because all the 11 players in their team are absolute match winners, and if in the finals 220 or something is required, or you need to defend 140, then I think the only team which has all the resources is England, if not India.
So that's pretty much for this video. We are going to be making another cover-up video after the World Cup ends, and we're going to be seeing who got the most predictions right, what went wrong, all of that. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button to get notifications. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and check out everyone's Instagram, it's there in the description. And that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys next time.